Boom. And we'll do what we do. All right. So YouTube is doing its thing. Facebook Live is doing its thing. Look like we're gonna be going live in about 5 seconds. We'll just throw a quick title in here. All right, wealth through wholesaling. Edit it later. We're going to go live. All right, so we are live in 4, in 3, and 2, and in 1. We are officially live. Hey, Facebook and YouTube family, the Triad is back with another installment of Wealth Through Wholesaling. And today we are blessed and highly favored to have with us a Miss Renetta Hobson, who's going to share her real estate journey with us. And so, Renetta, the format of our podcast is we try to present wholesaling from the standpoint of if you are a newbie today, getting in the game right now, what insight or what information have you picked up during your journey would have been super helpful as you kind of got your ball moving? Okay, so that's our audience,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
so we're going to present. We're going to present you with a couple questions, but
Okay.
I want you to think about it from the standpoint of the folks that are in this platform are looking to get their first deal. They haven't done it yet, but they've watched enough Max Maxwell to know it's possible.
It's
All right,
possible.
and if you don't mind, just showing everybody what you showed us before we went live.
I was late jumping on because I had to pick this up.
Yes.
I'll show you the date.
All right. Now, how much is that, Renetta?
This is $31.50 because I came in to help someone move a property that they could not move, and I JV with them to help them get to the closing table.
Outstanding.
So the entire assignment was $7,000, and because she was a first-time person doing business with me, I gave her a 55% split, and I took the 45% split, so she could see that I could produce.
Right.
And so we did that. We got to the closing table, and we got everything finalized, dispersed today.
Amazing. Amazing. All right.
So it is possible.
Amen. Amen. That's why we're here. So, Renetta, I'm going to kick the first question over to my little brother, Mr. Kiva Owens.
How you doing, Renetta?
Hey.
Nice to meet you. And again, we appreciate you giving us some of your time.
Yes, yes.
So first and most importantly, one thing I want to ask you right out the gate, because we know it's number one, if the numbers don't work, then nothing works. So how do you comp your properties? Because a lot of people don't know that it's all in the numbers. Like you have to be able to get the right ARV of this property.
Some people use MLS, and this is not a knock against my real estate agents or anything, but MLS is more for retail properties, things that don't need renovation. But I use the rehabber formula. I cut my teeth on rehabbing, not wholesaling. But I use that same formula. It's about 70% of your ARV is what you need to be looking at, minus any repair costs. And that's how I come up with my maximum allowable offer. Sometimes I don't hit that ceiling. Sometimes I'll bring it down just to make the deal attractive. You can't, you can run it up, but if you come down, it leaves, a little bit of meat on the bone, makes the deal look attractive, that kind of thing. But I comp my properties based on that formula and my maximum allowable price. And I look through, say, Redfin, Zillow, just, some of the free tools out there to get comps.
Okay. You answered that
Yeah.
question very well, because I was going to ask what sites, but you got right into it.
Mhm.
So, all right. So I appreciate that. So if you make a mistake in comping and or your numbers, you go to a buyer and your numbers, they're not agreeing with your numbers, and you have to go back to the seller, then what strategy may you use to go back to the seller? Like the first line you tell the seller, first two lines, I should say, when you have to renegotiate.
Most of the time, I try to, like I said, I try not to bump that ceiling so I don't have to go back to the seller. If you exhaust that ceiling, then you don't have any room left in the deal. You want to come just under that ceiling so you can kind of negotiate your number, like with yourself, your partners, before you have to go back to the seller. Worst case scenario is having to go back to that seller. But by the same token, if you massage the relationship, you're there to solve a problem for the seller, then sometimes you can go back. But I try not to have to go back to the seller.
So you try to buy right off top.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta buy it right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks. I'm gonna let Ambrose ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Hey, how you doing today? Can you hear me well?
Hey. Yes.
Great. I see that check. Hey, that's a good thing. Good sign, right?
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. So I have two questions. One of my question is especially for a newbie who wants to get into the game and not really understanding what book to read. Is there any book that you could recommend for them to start reading right now?
I started years ago, and like I said, I cut my teeth on rehabbing, which is like, I would say, as a newbie, one of the hardest ways to get started, because you're in with a lot of capital. I used a hard money loan, and you got to get in and get out. It's no room for error. With wholesaling, you do have at least some room for error if you don't invest any of your money. Sometimes I do use, and this is not recommended, but I do use some of my money for like earnest money and that sort of thing. But materials that were helpful, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Bigger Pockets. And if you go to Bigger Pockets online and read like that blog, the material is old, but it's still useful.
Right.
Read everything you can get your hands on. But that was one of the, I would say, primers. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was one of the primers. And because I networked and I did a lot of, how can I say it? Hands-on learning, trial by fire. I read books on how to do creative financing. The author slipped me at this time, but I read stuff like on how to finance the deal or how to fund the deal. But as a wholesaler, don't focus too much on reading everything, and you'll get information overload. Paralysis by analysis or analysis by paralysis, whichever way that goes. The whole thing is just having confidence, building your confidence level so you can just jump out there. If you make a mistake, it's a redeeming kind of profession. You can redeem yourself on the next deal. But the biggest part is mentoring and jumping back out there and giving it a shot.
Exactly. I like that. A lot. A lot of people don't really understand, people want to just read and just not take action. You learn a lot when you're in the fire, when you really understanding, as you make mistake, as you go as well. Definitely understand. So one thing I want to ask you again is that are you listening to any podcasts? If so, could you recommend any?
Um, I jump on from time to time. I've been following Earl. I like to listen here. And I jump on from time to time. There's a podcast. I forget the guy's name, but Earn Your Leisure is like one of their brands. I forget, like, I think it's two gentlemen, and they have, I think they do like YouTube and Facebook stuff. And that one is called Earn Your Leisure. I will listen to Max Maxwell. And that's about it. It's, it's when I can, I'll, just go in. I heard that Pace Mobley stuff is good.
Right.
There's another guy that gives out free content. I forgot his name. It's just little short snippets that I'll listen to when I can. But most of the time I'm moving on the go, and I'll read the groups. I'll read stuff more than listening. And I read like Business Insider, stuff like that, that gives me kind of knowledge on where the market is headed. Also, by trade, I have a master's degree in housing and community development. So I look on like the city and counties, local websites to see what they're doing, where development is happening, what's being rezoned, that type of thing. Because that doesn't change. You podcasts, they may pick up a topic based on what's happening at the moment, but those plans, they're there, and they're normally there from 10 to 20 years, and they're set in stone. And once it's approved and vetted by the city, public hearing process and all that, that's the way that development is going to happen.
And that's a valuable lesson a lot of newbies should really take in, is that you got to know what's going on within the city. You have to keep updated what's going on within the city as well, instead of listening to podcasts. I mean, that's definitely a valuable lesson to listen to, but keeping updated on what is going on in the city will definitely make you a lot wealthier in whatever area that you're in, basically. So I'm going to basically pass the next torch to Earl.
All right, just came on mute. Hey guys, we got about 30 people on our live right now. Guys, if you're watching this, if you're getting any value out of our content, give us a like, give us a share, let us know that the information that you're getting is something that you care about, so we can give you more of it. So Miss Renetta, it's small world. I mean, as I kind of went through your Facebook, I saw so many, overlap. You're a woman of God, and I see you very active in your spiritual work. If you talk about that a little bit, and I see you're really active with young people. If you could talk about that as well, and just if you could tie that together on your journey into real estate.
Okay. Like I said, I got started. I got the bug. I got bitten by the bug when I started working as a construction project manager for local government in the metropolitan Atlanta area. And I kind of got bitten by the bug, just watching the process of development and redevelopment. And then I ventured out on my own. I was like, hey, I could do some of this on my own. And so that's how I kind of got into the rehab process. And I worked for a small consulting firm, went to the state of Georgia, got laid off. And that was kind of when I accepted my call into ministry and started to do more introspective work. And accepted a call into ministry, worked as a youth pastor, worked as a chaplain, and wrote a book as a result of that. And it talks about my journey as a chaplain, journey as a minister, being laid off, and how that kind of forced me to kind of look at entrepreneurship as like a viable way to sustain myself when I couldn't, go back into the workforce and find what I thought I was worth and what I wanted to be paid in terms of a salary. So I took that opportunity to kind of employ myself. And fast forward many degrees later, I'm back doing that again, you know, kind of doing stuff for myself. I have a day job, I call it, and then I still do my real estate stuff because that's, you know, just one of my passions. And I know I can make that put bread on my table too.
Amen. You know, so you know, it's as you kind of share, you know, my last live, I was just sharing how being a teacher in our city school district is really um, I have a heavy spirit when I hear about people being laid off and
Mhm,
you know, oh my God, you know, mismanagement of money and
mhm,
but at the same time, I'm like, guys, what are you doing to move from one side of that cash flow quadrant to the other?
mhm,
Because we get it. You're going to be an employee or you're going to be a specialist, but when you stop moving, your money stops moving. If
mhm,
you don't transition to that right side of getting some systems in place or getting some investment income moving, you know, when you stop, your money stops.
mhm,
Um, but you know, it's I think a lot of people are afraid to open up those little eagle wings and go. And you know, and I guess my hope is in doing this type of podcast, if someone has an interest in real estate, they will have enough belief in the process and belief in themselves to say, what do I have to lose?
mhm,
What do I have to lose? So that's amazing. I really appreciate you sharing that. And I have a passion for working with the young people at my church as well. So I definitely feel everything you're saying. So tell us about your first deal.
mhm.
Because that's one thing you
um,
never forget.
yeah. Um, I would say like I kind of bypassed wholesaling. My first deal was a rehab deal. I bought a house. Newbie jumped out there with a house with a tree laying on it. How hard could that be? The whole backside of the house was missing. And I ended up like kind of knocking the backside off and having to do a room addition as my, you know, my first deal, a room addition, and got through that, refinanced out, and that ended up being like a buy and hold property. We ended up getting rid of it later on, but that was a buy and hold, and we rented it out and made income that way. But my first deal was not a wholesale deal. It was a rehab deal. And boy, that I got baptized in the fire. But I did
That's an
use,
understatement. You had
yes,
skin in the game.
I did. I did. And it's not as hard as people think it is in terms of getting financing and putting the package in. And my challenge was going through enough good contractors and building kind of like at that time a team of reliable contractors that I knew could produce. And your cash flow um, and investment is with hard money you have to get, or private funds you have to get in and get out. Can't let the project drag on. I think that project took me maybe 4 to 6 months, which is like in the tank. If you're doing hard money, you need to be out. Some people can do it in 10 days maximum, no more than 60 days. Get out of there, get in and get out. But I
Hmm.
utilize my construction and project management skills to kind of pay myself along the way and kind of work with it. But I still had to go through the process of hiring and firing, you know, good people, good contractors. firing the bad ones to get to get the good ones.
It sounds like the story of our beginning. We've been failing forward for going on, 12 plus months, but that's where the learning is.
It
That's
is.
where the learning is. All
It
right.
is.
I'm gonna kick it back over to Kivo.
Yeah, so you kind of answered, you're so informative and we appreciate it. You answered one of the questions I was going to ask you about just contractors, because some people want to get in and build their own portfolio. So you went ahead and answered that basically you have to be able to manage and assess people to be able to do rehabbing well. Because if you don't got the right contractor, your job will tank.
They will tank your job.
They will do you dirty. And so you answered that question. So let's get back to the beginning of things. Just how do you go about marketing? How do you find your deals?
I use a array of techniques to find deals. I like driving and looking because I am a person that's kind of invested in the built environment as a planner, urban planner by trade. I like to see what's going on the ground. So driving for dollars will always be one of my things. Okay, this house, okay, in this neighborhood, it looks like it could be a potential rehab. So that's like one of my go-tos. And then because we live in the world that we live in, everything is digital. I have to go online. I have to kind of comb through Facebook, Craigslist, places like that to see if I see anything for sale by owner stuff. I'm always looking for, for sale by owner, like when I'm driving. I don't care if I'm just going out to pick up something to eat or just the mundane things. I'm still looking. My eyes are kind of always open to that. But some people say, oh, this is the best way to do it. Spend your money on, generating leads through PropStream or doing it this way. It's no one way. It's no right or wrong way to, generate leads. You generate them through a variety of ways.
Right. Absolutely.
And find out what
Definitely.
works for you. I got, a probate lead and I'm working that. So.
Oh, okay. Good for you. We got to know how that works out for you because we have a probate list and I don't know if we have the right approach just yet. So the list has kind of been untouched because it's a sensitive that's a sensitive list there. So
yeah,
and
I use, you have to use your team, use people who are good at leveraging relationships. I use my chaplain resources because most of the time probate it involves someone dying.
Right.
And I use that piece of me. I bring that piece to the fore when I'm dealing with someone if they've had a death in their family.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. So and just moving forward, because you said you do have a day job. So in moving forward, do you see yourself completely immersing in your ministry in real estate, or will it always be work as well?
Well, and I say day job, but with my day job, I'm still a contractor, so I can plan my schedule. So for me, it's all about being able to plan my schedule and control and master my time and my day.
Right. Freedom of time.
And freedom of time and freedom to manage my schedule how I need to manage it. In my day job, I'm a counselor, I'm a therapist. So I will probably always do that because that's connected to my calling as well. But because I work as a contractor, I'm able to manage my schedule.
Okay. And then just moving forward before I get off, my team and I, we had a conversation earlier about goal setting and the importance of it. And if you see behind me, well, you see my tree, my wife doesn't like it. She's gonna do it over. But so I got a goal board here of things, and this is my first time setting goals. So I wanted to ask you, early on, did you set goals in order to kind of fuel and build the foundation for your progress?
The first time I just jumped out there, I didn't have like a goal in mind. My goal was just, okay, I want to work for myself. That was my, end goal. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And my goal to get that was a number of strategies. Now, I don't recommend that you jump out there and not have any goals. Back when I was coming in, along, you didn't have the benefit of someone mentoring you like on Facebook and all of these podcasts and things of that sort. But now it's easy to kind of do your projections and get mentoring with that along the way. But my goal was always to be to have financial freedom, and if not in that area, to have freedom to do what I wanted to do with my time. That was the biggest thing for me. My motivation wasn't just about money. It was about controlling what I did with my day. And I didn't want my day sorry about that. I didn't want my day to be controlled by someone else. I wanted to be able to control my day.
Okay, awesome, awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Ambrose.
Hey, so speaking of goals and time management, I was wondering if you could please give us brief details of, your daily ritual for when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed. What do you do every day?
When I wake up in the morning, I drink water, I talk to God, and I let my dog out. Those it's like I don't look at text or Facebook first thing. The first thing is just spending time with my spiritual stuff and taking care of my temple, drinking my water, that type of thing. That's like the first thing that I do. Then I kind of jump into what do I need to do for the day, check emails, that sort of thing. And because my time is my time, I can manage it in the segments that I feel is most important to me, or what aligns with me and my ethos.
Okay, that's very important. Drinking water. I drink a lot of water too, but not really that good with it.
And then me either. I could always do better, but that's like the my top three. And then I try to check in with my mentor at some
Okay,
point during the day.
very important. And my second question here is that if you could speak to a newbie who basically have $1,000, right?
Hmm.
How can they implement that money to get a deal?
Some people would say not to spend it on signs. I mean, I would say, maybe bandit signs. Um, Invest that first. And this is just me. Get your EIN number, get your LLC for tax reasons. Invest that in a nice logo, maybe presence on the web, because like I don't have a whole lot of strong presence on the web, but because everything is digital, and your newbie and young gun, build your web presence, market that way, flyers, business cards, things of that sort. The biggest thing is just to get moving. That's the biggest thing.
Right. That's the most
And
important thing.
you may
Definitely.
need that. Some people use with just the wholesaling. Some people will use some monies to do earnest money. Um, you may need a few dollars to have to tie up a deal to get it under contract
Thank you very much.
by using a little bit for earnest money.
Earl?
All right, so Renita, we're gonna wrap this up. It's we've had you unlocked for almost 34 minutes. And so I just want to wrap this up by just having you speak to two things I think are super important. Um, and that would be the value of mentorship and the sacrifices that you personally had to kind of make in order for your dream to become reality
Mhm.
in this space of wholesaling and real estate in general. So
Mhm.
talk about mentorship for me.
The first time around, I did not have a mentor, and that led to a lot of costly mistakes. I had to learn trial by fire, get my butt kicked to realize that, hey, I need someone that's doing this and that's, effective and that's scaling up, and someone just to bounce ideas off of and to vent when I've had my butt kicked or my butt handed to me, just someone to process that with. Mentor is no different than, say, a coach or counselor. There is someone that's been in the game and, that, don't mind sharing ideas and things with you. The relationship can be monetized. Um, my mentor doesn't really charge me a fee per se. There's a fee if you're a student of his, but what I do is if I close a deal and I know he has coached me and walked me through it, I'm going to send a love gift. I believe in reciprocity. I believe that you cannot reap without sowing and all of that, like it's tied to my ethos, my personal ethos. And if you stay in line with that and stay true to who you are, I think everything works for
Very
you
nice.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're 100%, and it's interesting because I think a lot of people, they say, yeah, I want a mentor, but they don't actually make the connection that it's got to be reciprocal. So if someone's going to sow into you, you do have to bring them some sort of value, and it may not be connected to money, although I would say it's probably a good it's a smart thing to reinvest back into your business.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we
Mm-hmm.
did.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to create some sort of value proposition so they're not feeling like I'm investing in you, but it's one directional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's
And I've on my very first wholesaling deal, this second time around when I got back into real estate, I JV with my mentor. So you
Mhm.
can do it that way,
There you
if you
go.
don't have the
Yep.
money right out the gate to invest into a mentor or to monetize that relationship or have some sort of reciprocity in the relationship, you can JV, bring them in on that deal and, you know, split some of the proceeds.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, so
It's
so
all
so
about teamwork. It's all about teamwork. There's no I in team. It's all about teamwork.
absolutely.
You have to have a team to make it go. You can be, just one person doing wholesaling on your own, but you have a team, whether you acknowledge it or not. You
Hmm.
have a team. That attorney is part of your team.
Hmm.
That inspector, if you don't do your own inspections, that inspector is part of your team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
If you're not creating a team, I mean, and that's a whole nother conversation that we're not gonna
Mhm.
get into, but we might bring you back for you to finish the strategies of building that infrastructure, because you
Mhm.
got to have professionals that you got on speed dial in order to make this thing work.
That's it.
You got to have it.
Mhm.
But closes out by just speaking to people who want this thing to happen for them, and keep it 100 about the commitment and the sacrifices that may be required.
In terms of commitment and sacrifices, you got to be willing to put in the long day. It's not some people, yeah, the first deal might be $20,000, but then your first deal might be 500, but the key is to just get started. The key is to get started. There will be long nights and long days sometimes. Sometimes you might want to quit if things slow up. And just depending on where you are in the process, things could just slow up. And you just have to find ways to stay motivated, stay encouraged, and kind of keep moving forward. It'll happen for you. It'll happen.
We definitely appreciate you taking the time to hang out with the Triad for about 35 minutes today. And we cannot wait for the opportunity to do business with you and, do some of those JV deals that you were talking about.
Sure thing.
So Ambrose, if you could send this out, my friend.
Oh man. All right, guys. This is Ambrose, Keyboard and Earl, and we are revitalizing the community one house at a time. How was that?
All right. You forgot the finger, brother. One.
One house at a time.
Nice to meet you again.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Renetta. All right.
Good night.
God bless. Yep. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.